Previously, Lucile was transferred to the headquarters of the Healers Guild and became an exorcist to clear out the labyrinth. There he was reunited with Lumina. She's the person Lucile met the first time he got into this world, and after that, Lucile started to explore the labyrinth to kill the undead. But Lucile was rather proceeding too fast to the deeper floor, so Catilia was worried he might get in danger, but Lucile was killing the undeads like it was a walk in the park for him. Then he got around the boss floor, so Lucile chose to fight it all by himself, and just as Lucile did, his magic was sealed off. But the new gear he bought came in use and Lucile took out the boss himself, but later when Catilia saw the boss item, she took Lucile directly to the Pope and the Pope revealed the boss he found had the items that belonged to a priest, so Pope gave an offer to buy those items in exchange of a magic sack. That was a profitable deal, so Lucile chose to explore the labyrinth even more to gather more boss items. So, as the story progresses, Lucile was noting down the mistakes he made while fighting the previous boss, and he realized that if he showed this to Brod and Gulgar, he would be in for a rough time. But Lucile was hungry at the time, so he went to canteen, but there he ran into Lumina, who was accompanied by her escorts, Lucy and Quina. But Lucile seemed worried about something, so Lumina invited him for a lunch with them. There, Lucile told them about his boss fight. And three of the ladies began scolding him for being a fool to fight a boss alone, so Lucile apologized and told them he wants to return to Maritoin and train in combats to get stronger. But the problem is that healers can't get transfer until they get orders from someone in a really high position, so Lumina decided to help him out. His luck shined like a bright star to train with the group of ladies, but for that day, Lucile went to the labyrinth and did his daily routine, returning with a full set of magic stones to exchange. But he remembers how tough Catilia was, so he was scared even now, but there Catilia gave him the magic sack Pope promised to give him, then she told him to transfer some magic into it. And there Lucile did as she told him and the sack turned blue. It showed that sack has become his own, and anything Lucile touches can go directly into the sack and come out just by thinking. And inside Pope has given many spellbooks only to him so he can become stronger. After that, Lucile meets the Valkyrie Paladin Regiment, that's under Lumina. Lucile gets to train with these beautiful girls from now on, and then, Lumina starts their training with jogging, so Lucile thought he could pull it off since he was jogging every day for 2 years. But the girls were different. Lucile thought he just couldn't keep up with their pace, and in the end Lucile was 8 laps behind women's. After that, comes the combat training. But Lumina saw Lucile was being naive to use dual welding with his style, so she told him to attack with the weapons he can give his best. So Lucile dropped his spear and brought out his shield. Lucile attacked Lumina, but she easily dodged his attack and landed a punch on him. So Lucile remembered Brod told him to be decisive if he was up against a powerful opponent, so Lucile used his magic to blind Lumina, but that didn't work out and Lumina knocked him out. Then Lucy woke him up with a series of slap. They told Lucile. It was shocking to see Lumina going hard on training, so they told Lucile to be grateful. Then the second day of training, Lucile and his side won against attacking team, so Elizabeth told them the reason is because Lucile had made barrier for defense, and Elizabeth was correct. And even Lumina recognized Lucile's abilities to become a level 5 healer with Holy Magic 7 at the age of 17, which is unusual. Lumina kept calling him an oddball, and Lucile didn't like his new nickname. So Lumina begins to tell everyone about Lucile's past, how he joined the Adventurers Guild and trained in combat and got beaten up on a daily basis by Brod and earned the nickname Massa Zombie Healer. So Lucile gets down on his knees to stop her from revealing his embarrassing life story any further. After that, Lucile was down because his skill hasn't increased. But he gets his motivation back remembering Brod and his training. He gets to 16th floor, but there he saw a trap and intentionally activated it. Then a full mob of undead got to him, but Lucile took care of them, and after defeating them he takes a lunch break and gets to the 20th floor, but this time he didn't enter the boss room. He goes around the boss room for 2 days and kills some minions, but then Elizabeth comes to get him early in the morning, but she got a bit frustrated seeing Lucile so messed up. Then today was the dual welding training, but Lucile saw the disadvantages comes from welding 2 weapons that slows down their movement, so he realized his mistake. Then he took his turn, but when Lucile tried to take the opening, he got beaten up easily. So next comes Elizabeth, but even she was relentless, and when Lucile tried to attack, She suddenly disappeared and gets behind Lucile, so he had to surrender. Lucile was curious how she vanished, so Elizabeth tells him she used fire and water to make an illusion. Lucile was learning a lot from this training, and after grasping the new teaching, he entered the boss floor and brought back yet another item that actually belonged to a high priest of the church. Pope tells him that the boss he defeated had entered the labyrinth a decade ago, so Lucile asked her if those boss were actually the church members, and she said yes. Pope reveals they entered the labyrinth a century ago, and they tried to seal it off, but they were only partially successful because they only prevented monsters from coming out on the surface. So Lucile thought of beating the labyrinth, and Pope confirms it can happen by destroying the core, but no one had ever gotten even close to that core, and once, when a group tried to find the core, they lost their lives and were turned into undead by its miasma in the labyrinth, and in the end, the labyrinth was sealed off and the church started using healers as exorcists. So Pope offered her full support to Lucile if he wanted anything in his exploration, so Lucile wished he wants some anti-zombie weapons. So Pope agreed without hesitation and promised she would promote him if Lucile reached level 7. But that's where episode 9 comes to an end, but stay tuned to watch more of this anime, and for that subscribe the channel and press the bell icon.